Welcome back to the channel. This is something that I've never encountered before. I'm a little upset about it. I've never had to deal with this before, but I'm gonna kind of walk you through this and let you know what happened. I should be doing an unboxing because I have been looking at this firearm for a little while and I finally decided to go get one. And when I say go get one, I actually ordered it online and picked it up in the store. I've done this before, I don't know, countless times. I haven't done this before with Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's. I've never purchased a firearm through them. I always thought their prices were a little high, but they happen to have this one on sale, clearance, and funny story is I actually went in to go buy one and they said they had them in stock. Called, they said they had them in stock, said they had plenty. I get up there and they couldn't find any of them, which was odd because I just called. But lesson learned there, so I figured, okay, fine. So at that time, I just went on my phone, I ordered it online. Cool. They said it'd come in, just give them a week, if that, and it'd come in. And so I ordered it online, and it took maybe 2 days for it to come into the store. So I went back up there, and this is the reason for the video, is I went up there, went up to the store, and I've bought firearms through multiple places before, and I've bought online and had them shipped to my FFL dealer, and I've bought them online at Academy, and I've gone up to the store to pick them up. And typically, if you buy them online and have them shipped to your FFL dealer, they're shipping you one firearm, and so that's your firearm, like it or leave it. So you're hoping that you got what you wanted. Academy is a little bit different. I've been super impressed by them because if I buy something online and I go pick it up in store, typically if they have more than one, they'll let me look at the firearm and they'll say, hey, visually inspect it. If it's everything you want, we'll proceed. If it's not, we'll take a look at another one. And there's been times where I've visually inspected things and I didn't like the way it looked, or there was something wrong with it cosmetically, and they've let me switch it out for a different one, and then they'll write down the serial number and we'll proceed. Also with Academy, and other gun stores too, you go into the gun store and you're really serious about purchasing a firearm, they'll actually let you pull that trigger to just pull the trigger and let you know how it feels. This is my first time purchasing through Bass Pro Shops and the Cabela's, but they had a trigger guard on the gun, which is kind of my first issue per se, is they wouldn't let me pull the trigger on the firearm until I bought it and I was out the store, and they gave me a lock for it, and I couldn't do anything with the trigger until I purchased the firearm and was out the store. Okay. Never experienced that before, so that was kind of a weird thing for me. Maybe that's all of them, but that was weird for me. I've never had that happen before, but I've never purchased one through Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops, so maybe that's just how things are, and that's fine. Just wasn't used to it. Sales guy was kind of, I don't know, maybe having a bad day, but he warmed up later, so that was fine. But I will tell you this, the Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's that I went to in my area, the gun counter is not very well lit. Any other place I've been to, the lighting has been pretty great, but the gun counter was not. The lighting, it was dim. It was dim in that store. It was dim at the gun counter. And so I'll take partial blame. And I know I'm ranting, but this is just how it went down. I'll take partial blame. I visually inspected the firearm. This is a Beretta APX A1. Okay. I've never had a Beretta before. The APX A1 seemed to have phenomenal reviews. So here we are. I'm going to purchase this firearm. Bought it online, went to the store, and when I get there, he's already logged in the serial number, like on the paperwork, before I even looked at the firearm. And I thought that was kind of odd. So he's having me fill out the paperwork, and before I fill out the paperwork, I said, hey, you already marked the serial number down and everything. Do you mind if I inspect the firearm to make sure it's, good to go? He's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. And so I'm like, okay. So I inspect the firearm, and I did notice a few things. Nothing major, but I just noticed the coating and the oil and the residue on the slide. For a Beretta, for the APX A1, which everyone raved about, it just didn't seem all that great. But I was like, you know what? This gun's on sale, on clearance. I'll just pick it up anyway. So I looked through it. I couldn't pull the trigger, but I looked through the slide. I rubbed off the coating with kind of the oily grease stuff on there, and it didn't really look all that great, but I still proceeded with it. And that's on me. That should have been me. That was me telling myself, hey, I should have asked to go look at another firearm. Could you please bring out another firearm so I can look at it and compare them? That's what I should have done, but I didn't. So that's on me. So fill out the paperwork, got my concealed carry license. Everything's good to go. And I get the firearm. They walk me out of the store. I get to my truck, and something was just like telling me, like, man, like, go ahead and open up this box again and take a look at this firearm. And I did. And once I was in my truck and it's daylight, it's super light outside, I open it up and I look at it and I go through it. And the first thing I know, and I wish I would have taken pictures, and I really, really should have, is, and you can read on here, coating on the back face of the slide is beginning to flake off. It was clear as day when I got it out in daylight that the coating on the back of the slide, it was peeling off. I mean, it was there. It was peeling off, and I was like, what in the world? Keep in mind, I'm not going to pay for a new gun, and the coating is peeling off like that. That's on me for not visually inspecting. So this video goes out to people buying handguns. If you're spending money on a handgun, visually inspect that handgun. And if you don't like the way it looks, ask them for another one. That's your hard-earned money. And if you don't like the way it looks, you don't like the way it feels, the quality's not there, you better dang sure make believe. You ask that associate, can you see another firearm, and compare the two. And if one looks better than the other one, you pick the other one. Because that's your money. And that's what I should have done, and that's on me. But I'm going to go ahead and say this, Beretta, the coating was peeling off from the factory. You should have never let that handgun go out. I don't know what the deal is and what y'all are doing, but I'll take partial blame. But Beretta, the coating on that thing should have never left your plant, should have never left at all, quality control should have caught that. I mean, should have caught that. And so that's on you guys, Beretta. And I'm looking at reviews and the process. So let me back up here. When I looked at the gun and the coating was coming off, I told myself, there's no way I'm bringing this firearm home. I'm not going to be happy with this. Even though it was on sale and clearance, I just knew I'm not paying for a new firearm for the coating to be peeling off already. Okay, so I could have taken it somewhere and had them, finish it and redone it, but Cerakoted it. But not for a new gun, right? So I put it back in the lockbox. I go walk back to the store, and I should have taken pictures, but I walk back into the store. As soon as I walk in there, they're like, hey, what's going on? I said, hey, would you mind looking at this gun with me? Because the coating is peeling off the slide, on the back of the slide. And they're like, what? Really? You just bought that gun? I'm like, yeah, it's peeling off. Didn't see it in your store because it's so dim in here. So we had to go, they checked it, we looked at it, and as soon as he looked at it, underneath a light, and it's not like a microscope light, I mean underneath like good lighting, like this lighting here, he's like, yeah, you're right, this is peeling. Like, how did we not catch that, is what he told me. I was like, I don't know. I didn't see it. I said, it's dim back there. He's like, yeah, and he agreed. The associate did agree. Yeah, it is pretty dim back there. So we probably didn't catch it like that. I was like, well, it should have never left Beretta. So we have to go back, and this is where we're at now. I had to fill out a firearms repair form. Keep in mind, that's the date up there, 2/17. Coating on the back of the slide is beginning to flake off. This is the Beretta APX A1. I'm curious if other people have experienced this or not, but we go back there, I fill this form out, and this is the frustrating part. I get it. All firearm sales are final, and that's on me for not checking it. Once again, I'm going to reiterate, if you go pick up a firearm, visually inspect it, and if you don't like one thing about that firearm, you ask that associate to bring you another one to compare. Absolutely must. That's their job. I'm sorry, but that's their job. And if they get an attitude with you, if they get funky with you, if they say, oh, that's just how all of them are, and if they don't want to bring you another firearm, go take your business somewhere else. 100%. So we fill out this firearm repair form. It's got to go back to Beretta. They make the phone calls, make sure everything's good. They can't just send it back to Beretta and Beretta send me a new gun. They can't send it back to Beretta and Beretta send me a new slide. Do you know what the process is? It's a 12-week process is what they said. Expect 12 to 15 weeks. And that's what really made me angry. 12 to 15 weeks because it has to go back to Beretta. Upon that time frame, once it gets mailed back to Beretta, it can take up to 2 weeks for them to check that firearm in. They are allowed up to 2 weeks to check my firearm in. Once they check my firearm in, it has to be shipped somewhere else for the slide to be refinished. I can't get a new slide. I can't get a new gun. Okay? That's the frustrating part for me. So I'm documenting this process. 2/17 is when it was sent off. I'm expecting from the reviews, from everybody saying Beretta customer service is horrible, I'm expecting that to get this gun back for at least a couple months. And that's the frustrating part. And this video is to let you know, if you're purchasing a Beretta firearm, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to know the positives. But I also want to be realistic, and if you have negatives, list them out. Because this is calling out to Beretta. This is absolutely unacceptable to tell your customer that. Like, I wish I never even would have bought the firearm. If I'm going to wait at least 12 weeks, if I'm going to wait at least 2 weeks, they told the associate, and the associate told me they have 2 weeks to check my firearm in. That's not even getting anything done. So, Beretta APX A1, I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback, and let me go ahead and say this. This is not every Beretta APX A1, because when we went back there and we looked at another APX A1, guess what? The finish on it didn't have any flaking at all. So it was my luck of the draw. This is where I'm at. I'd love to hear your feedback. Customer service, Beretta. I'd love to know how people have dealt with them. I'd love to know realistically what am I looking at here. So this video is partially my fault, but this is also Beretta. That gun should have never left your factory. Bass Pro and Cabela's, I wish your lighting would be a little bit better in the store that I went to. But you know what? I'll take partial responsibility on this. So, sorry for the rant, but I should be doing an unboxing, but I'm not. And here we are, Beretta APX A1, Bass Pro, and Cabela's. Let me know what you think, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry the video is for so long. Sorry the video was long, but just wanted to show you my experience. And I'll end on this note. And this is probably the third or fourth time I'll say this. If you go buy a firearm at a store and you don't like the way it looks or feels, 100% ask that associate to bring another firearm up and compare the two. That's all I have to say. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And thank you.